Can you hear background noise from me?
No.
Okay, good. Can we go ahead?
Just 1 second. A few people still joining.
Ah,
Okay. Um, yeah, everybody, all the board members except Tracy are here.
Yeah, let's see if anybody else comes on. And two more.
if it gets noisy, I'll mute myself, but I will need to be then unmuted if I want to talk.
You're fine.
Okay.
We got two more people coming in.
Okay, I think everybody is in. There's nobody in the waiting room.
Okay. All right. It's August 13th. Welcome Hammond North. We planned this as a relatively short meeting, but there are some announcements, so we can get on to an executive session per the governing documents. That executive session should follow adjournment of a regular session. So with that, we'll call the roll call. So Randy Vaughn,
Here?
Jan Welch,
Here,
Tim Fritz,
Here.
Chris Conti.
Here.
Okay, so that is, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Tom Deeds.
Here.
Okay, that's 6. Yeah, Tracy Smiley is delayed in traffic. She hopes to join us later. Okay, so that's a call to order on the announcements. So first I'd like to call on Jan Welch for what is any updates for the cell count.
thank you, John. We currently have 139 votes to sell, consent to sell forms, and 141 for waiving the reserve fund for 2 years. So, and
All right,
it's a good sign. It's a good sign.
thank you.
So, so the waiving the reserve fund has passed, basically.
Yes, yes. But people are still submitting forms, so I
Yeah,
just,
I think Greg was looking for a confirmation for that, maybe.
that could be.
Yeah, we're gonna be sure. We found out some forms weren't completely filled out in the past, sometimes a duplicate form, even though we got another one. So we just gotta confirm it all. But this basically for the waiving the allocation for the reserve fund, I think we're in good shape for what our budget stated. So we're good there. Announcements, we're going to, as we announced earlier, the regular board meeting with committee reports, budget reports, all that will be next week, August 20th, as we've announced earlier. We also decided that we will hold, as many owners have asked us, an owners meeting. We hope to do it in person, but we have to make sure that we can have the arrangement to do a Zoom call, as many owners are dispersed and the availability of joining us physically can be difficult. So we're looking into that. But I would say that as with all other and per the governing documents, that suggestions for the owners meeting, that send them either to any of the board members or either one of the Hammond board emails or the general Hammond North email address. So that is the announcement for the owners meeting. So with that, the buyer's offers. Tim, you want to summarize where we're at with that?
I have not been up to date in the last day or so. So somebody else I will hopefully take that.
Okay, Randy, you've participated in many of those meetings.
Yeah. If we could run through that criteria first.
Okay, sure.
It might make more sense about, you know, the offers.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask to share. Well, okay. Um, okay, I'm not gonna, you can see your screen. These are the things that we've had to think about as we look over various offers to buy the building. Obviously, at the top of the list there is the price offered. Don't need to say anything about that. And the earnest money. The earnest money is important because it guarantees, or hopes to guarantee anyway, that the buyer is serious about their offer, and it'll cost them a little bit if they should back out of their offer. We also need to look at the buyer's financing needs. Um, we need to see proof of funds that they do have the money, indeed, that they are offering. And if they don't have all of the money they need, how long is it going to take them to get that money through financing? Um, Yeah. Another thing that is important is that, of course, all of our owners have to approve of any sale, and we need buyers to accept that and to allow us time to get that approval from all the owners of all 180 units. We also need to look at a due diligence period. The buyer needs time to get into the nooks and crannies of the building and really get an estimate of exactly what it's going to take to get the building into the condition that the buyer would want it in, and how long of a due diligence period, and when is that? Is it right off the bat, or is it somewhere back in the process later on? The other contingencies, that's sort of a catch-all. Um, is there a built-in guarantee that the buyer can cut off the deal before closing? You know, what would be the reasons for that, or what are acceptable reasons, and how long does the buyer have to terminate the deal before the deal will go through? Titles, and just like when you sell your house, you know, who's going to pay a title search, who's going to pay inspection costs, and that kind of thing. Um, Closing, how long of a period of time is built in until the closing after the inspection period? We also look down at the qualifications of the buyer. Have they done this before? Have they worked on a building of this size? What is their reputation? Do they have the appropriate licenses? Even we haven't yet, but we could even look at the Better Business Bureau to see that if we need to get that. And basically, all of that is done to assure that once we sign a deal, that the buyer will not change things on us. You know, we've heard horror stories of buyers coming in and saying, we're going to offer this much. And then halfway through, they say, well, you know, we're going to have to change that and offer you that much less, or this much less. So, you know, we just want to make sure that when we accept the deal, that it is going to go through, and we're not going to have to start all over everything again. And so the two, if I should go on, unless there's any questions about any of that, that is all pretty cut and dried, I think. Jan?
I just wanted to clarify, I thought it was all owners had to approve a sale rather than the individual sale, and that the board selects the actual one. Is that correct, or?
Uh, that's the way we have it. Yes,
Okay.
if we can get the 180
Yeah.
approvals of the consent vote or consent approval, yeah, then it says if we can sell the building for
Right.
anything over 11 million.
Right.
And if we can get people to agree to that, then yeah, we're free to and that's important. It gives us a little latitude to negotiate with the buyers. And buyers, if they're going to tie up their money, if they're going to tell us, we're going to give you 15 million or something, they don't want to have this thing drag on for a year and have their money tied up. They want to see some kind of movement. And so the more that we can get of approval, the more approvals we can get ahead of time, the more strength we have in our ability to offer a deal.
Yeah, let me just add with the chat, because this is sort of a meeting, we'd like it to make it short and not go on as long as a typical board meeting, that there's some chat questions I'm not going to get to. People can email us in writing. One question that does pertain to this is how many actual individual owners are there? Because if there's a co-owner, then they both have to sign the consent form. I think it's roughly 250 owners of the 180 units, but that's just a rough estimate.
Yeah, I use shorthand a lot and say 180 owners. We need more than 180 owners. We need the owners of 180 units.
Yeah, but when
However
I
many.
say 300, when I give a number, that means all of those units. So we only need, we
Right.
need 180 units. Right.
Right. The reporting is all the units, and that means that those units, if they have more than one owner, they have signed the form.
Right.
Right.
Well, there was a notice put out today that we have 139 units have approved the sale. So
Right.
Said that.
We're getting there. Okay, right now we have two offers, please, I don't have any graphic here, but please try to listen, take notes if you want. We have an offer from a company named Venture. They had originally offered 14,035,000. We have countered that, and they have countered our counter. And right now that offer stands at 14,350,000 as a sale price. They will put up 280,000 as earnest money. Usually earnest money is 1 to 2% of the offer, and that's roughly 2% there. Their due diligence period would begin as soon as the offer is signed by us, and the due diligence period is 60 days. In that time, we would be scrambling to try to get the remainder of the owners to sign the consent. They do not need any financing. They have the money. And then they're offering a 60-day period in which to close after their inspections, after their due diligence period. Got it? Okay. The other offer we have is from Mike Stacy, his company, Hammond House LLC. That offer is for 15 million with a earnest money of 150,000. Now, I will preface, we just got the latest version of this offer this morning. So that's why Tim has not had a chance to look at it. I've looked at it, and I tried to just pick these salient points, and this is where it stands, I think. So 15 million to buy, 150,000 earnest money. I'm not positive if there is a time period placed on the due diligence period, a length of time. Again, I've only been able to look at this within the last hour. If it's in there, I just didn't see it. It talks about due diligence, but I don't see a time frame. It seems there is no financing needed. Again, I think that's the case. It states that the time for closing would be determined, but between the sellers and the buyer by agreement after the deal is signed. So they would do their due diligence in whatever time frame that is, and then we would decide on a length of time in which to put the closing. It also includes a contingency, I suppose we can call it. There's a selling provision. Many of you have heard about this. Once they have possession of the building, any owner who is interested in buying back their unit from Mike Stacy's group, they will negotiate with you to do that. Basically, their asking price from you seems to be your share of the proceeds from the sale of the building, as well as your share of any insurance money that we get from Landmark. You know, we're still negotiating with Landmark to try to get up to 10 or 11 million more dollars. So that's sort of a twist on this offer that the venture offer doesn't have. Any
Thanks,
questions?
Randy.
Yeah.
There are some chat questions, and I don't think we want to spend a lot of time here on the lawsuits. Just repeat what we said before. I think Carolyn Ford is accurate that basically the lawsuits don't impact the sale. What they impact is we can't distribute the funds to all the owners until the lawsuits are settled, and we hope to settle them and not drag this out for years. But that's really for that. Also, there's a question: if owners do not sign, we don't have all owners, then we can't go through a direct sale. That means that we're all, as owners have often commented, the fees will still be there. It's a bad situation and we can't proceed with finalizing the sale. And that's really, I don't think, I'm not sure about Susan Hoskins' questions, that I don't think Mike Stacy required all lawsuits to be settled for the deal to go through.
If I can I
Sure, go
comment
ahead,
on? Yeah, as it was said in a meeting when Isaac spoke to us a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, any money that we get, any proceeds that we get, it looks like mortgages, if you have a mortgage and your share of the proceeds is enough to cover that mortgage, your mortgage would be paid off at the time of closing. But as far as getting any other monies from the proceeds, until all lawsuits are settled, that money would be held by the association, not as a threat, not, you know, nothing like that. It's just it would have to be held because we would have legal costs involved. And so the money could not be distributed until all lawsuits are resolved. Okay, so that would affect Mike Stacy's offer a little bit in that if you wanted to buy back your building, he wants your proceeds from the sale. You wouldn't have them until the lawsuits are resolved. Now, that's not in the contract, but that seems to be, according to our lawyer, Mike Isaac Hines, that would be a consideration along those lines.
So, Michelle, just 1 second. There was a chat question about distribution of insurance proceeds. As far as I know, that does not come up, but we'll have to look again at 10th Street Ventures offer. But Michelle, if you make it a short comment, please go ahead.
I will. John, you mentioned that you are working on settlement with people who are suing. Is this board going to be completely transparent about that so that we're aware of whatever settlement agreement is made before it's made? I'm very concerned about this and what it could potentially cost us, as we've already are out of pocket quite a bit of money because of these legal cases. And I, for one, don't want to spend a penny more, because the best thing that could happen right now is people drop these darn lawsuits and we all move forward together.
I appreciate the sentiment. The board hasn't discussed, you know, the timing and how we make that open. That's certainly been my personal position, is we be as open as possible. We also have to understand what the legal positions of the lawyers are on this also. But again, we haven't made a decision on that.
My concern would be that we jump from one lawsuit being resolved and creating others. That's my concern.
Agreed. I personally would hope there are no more lawsuits. So, Ken, if we could just proceed, then there is an item that I know people don't want to delay this the whole process anymore. But as we mentioned earlier, we need 100% of the owners for direct sale. But we feel that it's important at this point, and the board hasn't made a final decision on this, but we are considering having a 30-day national marketing period. The marketing that's gone on so far has been generally in the regional area, not national. I respect both offers that we have. Randy went through the criteria we want to use for those, and without getting into the ins and outs of each particular offer, we feel it's important to know the real worth of the building. If it differs by 500,000, a million, that's actually seems like a lot of money, but divided by 180 owners is not that large. But we want to be sure it's not going to be 3, 4, 5 or more $1 million difference. In that case, we really should have the national marketing to figure out the worth of the building. Randy?
I hate to dominate the meeting, but anyway, yeah, we're kind of getting it from all sides here on the board, if I can just be totally honest. We have people who have messaged us or written to us saying that they're not happy with the 14 or 15 million that is offered. They want a higher price. We've had people say they want to be sure that this is the best price, this is the true offer, the value of the building. And those two then would support the idea that we would do this 30-day national marketing to see, okay, anybody out there want this building? If so, how much you want to pay for it? But on the other hand, we've had just as many people, I don't know what the numbers are, saying, hey, let's sell it now. Let's get this over with. We've delayed long enough on this. And that would then argue against the 30-day period. Let's sign one of these deals now and get it going. Other people won't do anything until all the lawsuits have been resolved. They won't sign the agreements to sell until then.
Right.
So
Let me just say
that
that there is a committee of both owners and board members talking individually to each one of the owners who has not signed, as somebody asked in the chat. We've had discussions. There are a number of different reasons people have offered. We had some written emails where people have particular objections. We're in the process of answering all those questions, and we will, as I said earlier, questions and answers. We're going to start on the website of question and answers about the cell and the questions and answers that people have. In terms of people saying, is it worth waiting? Everybody should remember, we cannot sign any agreement right now, contract, or unless we have that agreement in hand, or once we sign, there's a period of time and then we have to close. If we don't have 100%, we can't close, and then the deal falls apart. We don't want to jeopardize, as other chat questions have said, any of the deals we have. The advice we've had from people is that we're not going to lose the deal. It's a calculated risk. At the same time, we can't accept those offers immediately right now as is, unless we get quite a bit closer, if not all the way to 100%. And I hope all the owners who have not signed talk to us about it. Sure, I want people to sign, but tell us what your questions are, and hopefully we'll get through them. Tim.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what John just said. Up until now, the fact that we don't have 100% of the votes hasn't been a big issue in terms of garnering some offers and having some people interested in the building. Once we get into this 30-day marketing agreement, it's going to be an issue that's going to be a concern to the potential buyers if we don't have this worked out. So it behooves us to expeditiously get 100%. The other issue that we have is Tom Deeds and I have been working with some of the contractors on the building, because we are going to have to spend money on the building to preserve the building. Part of the agreement that we have to put the building into what's called a vacancy situation with the city of Cincinnati and they have a bunch of requirements that we have to do in order to preserve the building. So for us to preserve the building and maintain its value, we're going to have to spend more and more money the longer that we control the building. We're going to have to spend more and more money out of our remaining funds, which will decrease the value of everybody's distribution. So there's two things. Number one, it will become an issue with the buyers if it takes too long for us to come up with the 180 yeses. And number two, we will have to spend more and more money on the building to maintain its integrity and maintain its value. So I just can't stress how important it is that the people who are hesitating about signing the consent to sell agreement, it's just very important. And what John said is important. Some people have said we have concerns about the consent to sell agreement. You need to let us know what those concerns are so that we can address them and get them off the table. We need to get all the excuses off the table. We need to get good answers for everybody so that they're comfortable. But we need to have the consent to sell, and we need to have it as soon as possible.
Jan, you had your hand up earlier?
Who?
I thought, Jan, you had your hand up.
Yeah, briefly. We're contacting owners. If there's anyone who has not been contacted personally, there are a couple of people that we have not been able to reach. Feel free to reach out to me or anyone on the committee. And that list has been published before. We have a list. I saw a question in the chat. We have a list of a lot of reasons that people are refusing to sign it until now. And we're trying to address those questions to the best of our ability. It takes time, and it's going to take more time. So I'm not in a panic about that. I think, we're at 139. That's not bad, so I think we're proceeding. And please feel free to reach out. And I know some people have questions that are harder to answer, and people have opinions, but we're working very seriously on this and we're making headway. There are a few people recently who signed that was a surprise to us that they signed, actually. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to name names, but it's helping, I think.
All right. Well, it is 6:30 and we'd like to adjourn if possible. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Randy's got something. Randy, you got something?
Just a real quick plea. We need to decide very quickly, are we going to extend this thing for 30 days and do a national sales promotion, or are we not? I know we have our lawyers coming for a meeting here in just a minute, so we can't really discuss it openly here. But if you could email the 5300 Hammond website or something, I can look at that one. Give us some feedback as to what do you think
About the
Yeah.
sale, about the 30 days?
about the 30 days?
The other thing I want to reiterate is we've talked to a couple of different people. We're working mainly with Jordan Dickman, but we've talked to some other people, and their plan is the same. Their plan would be to get this nationally marketed, because they believe that there might be some more aggressive bidding on the national market.
And meanwhile, we probably are okay with the people we have. So the risk is minimized.
Yeah, Tom, just before I get to you, there is an important chat question, which is if the spouse is not an owner, then as far as I know, they do not have to sign the consent form. It's only if they're an owner. But Tom, if you can make it brief, and then we should go.
Yeah, the reason for going national obviously is to get the best price for the building. But I have heard through members of the committee that one of the reasons not signing is because some owners believe the building is worth a lot more. so that by going national, we have marketed it to the whole country, and the building will be, if we get offers, we'll get offers. But the building is worth what someone is willing to pay for it.
All right, so listen, we're a minute over. I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I so
Motion to
moved.
adjourn.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning?
Tim?
All right. Jan, did you vote to adjourn?
You
Yes.
shorted out. I didn't see it. Sorry.
Sorry. All right, we'll adjourn, and for the board, they should use the executive session link to sign in again. Thank you very much.